Abe, General Manager, Institutional Sales Department, Mitsubishi UFJ Securities. Before the meeting starts, please make sure all materials have been distributed. If not, please download the files on Nidec homepage right now. Now, may I introduce Mr. Akira Sato, Executive Vice President and Chief Performance Officer, who will be speaking to you shortly. First, Mr. Sato will make a presentation. After his presentation, we will move to a Q&A session. Mr. Sato will now discuss Nidec's third quarter fiscal year 2019 results, future outlook, and management strategy. Mr. Sato, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abe. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's conference call. My name is Akira Sato, Chief Performance Officer of Nidec, and I'll be your main speaker today. And joining me is Mr. Masahiro Nagayasu, General Manager of Nidec's IR team. For the forward-looking statement, please see slide number 2 of our presentation material for details. Now, I will review the key figures. Please see slide number 3 for the fiscal year 2019 accumulated 9-month results. As shown on slide number 4, the sales of both accumulated 9-month and December quarter have achieved record highs. The accumulated 9-month operating profit went down by 24% year-on-year due to the additional R&D and startup costs for traction motors, which are in high demand, and to the additional acquisition-related expenses, and we have revised down our annual forecast. On slide number 5 and 6, you have pictures showing the net sales and operating profit year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter respectively by product groups with exchange rate effect, eliminations, and structural reform expenses. As you see, upper chart on slide number 6, the net sales went up mainly due to an increase in automotive segment, whereas the lower chart of the operating profit is showing decline principally due to the decrease in automotive and appliance, commercial, and industrial, or ACI. Despite this operating profit decline, as illustrated on slide number 7, operating cash flow has increased Q-on-Q and remains quite strong. As you see, slide number 8, the annual guidance has been revised down. The net sales in the March quarter is expected to be lower Q-on-Q, and operating profit higher Q-on-Q. Please see slide number 11. We have decided to build a new facility in Hanoi, Vietnam, in addition to Chongqing and Kunshan in China, in order to meet 5G-driven cooling demand. This factory will be located in Hoa Lac High-Tech Park in Vietnam and is expected to start production from April 2021. We are aiming to achieve 100 billion yen sales in fiscal year 2022 in the thermal solution business by aggressively tackling the cooling demands in the automotive, smartphone, and IT-related areas. Please see slide number 12. We forecast that as electrification of automotive progresses in 2030, internal combustion cars will be reduced to half of the entire market, and the remaining half replaced with mild hybrid, electric vehicle, plug-in hybrid, and hybrid vehicles. As all of those non-internal combustion cars require electric motors, and unprecedentedly large market is expected to be created in favor of us going forward. Please see number 13. While Chinese EV market, electric vehicle market, is slowing down, mainly due to their government subsidy cut, Chinese automaker GAC's electric vehicle Ion series, which is incorporating Nidec's e-axle, is increasing its sales quite rapidly. And the accumulated sales volume has already exceeded 33,000 units, with December sales approaching 9,000 units. Please see slide number 14. We formed a joint venture for traction motors with French automaker PSA Group in May 2018, and PSA announced last November that this joint venture's plant in Fremby, France, will start production of electric powertrains. This plant is expected to have production capacity of 120,000 units in 2020, 180,000 in 2021, and eventually aim to have 900,000 annual production. Currently, there are only 4 electric vehicle models available from PSA Group. However, all of the models will be available in all electric or plug-in hybrid version by 2025. Please see slide number 16. Omron Automotive Electrics that we acquired last October has been renamed as Nidec Mobility, and the full-scale post-merger integration, or PMI, is underway. Nidec Mobility can offer 4 product areas, which are active safety, electric power steering, power supply control, and body control. And we can combine them with Nidec's automotive motors and our subsidiary Nidec LSS ADAS products to create new businesses through modularized and system products. Please see slide number 16. We have renamed Brazilian compressor maker, which we acquired last July, to Nidec Global Appliance Compressores e Soluções en Refrigeração. Our U.S. subsidiary Nidec Motor Corporation is leading its PMI, which is making steady progress as we are already seeing improvements in their operating profit. Please see slide number 17. Last December, we completed the acquisition of 90% of ownership of Robotech from its owners through Nidec Motor Corporation, like in the case of Embraco. We are always trying to strengthen our presence in some key future growth drivers, including robotization. To become a global leader in these markets, we are focusing on expanding our ability to provide package solutions to all our served markets as demand continues to increase for convenient modular solutions. Robotech is the leading designer of ultra-low voltage drives for the rapidly growing automated guided vehicle, or AGV, market. Robotech products are used in AGVs for warehouses, security, and cleaning agricultural use. Through the acquisition of Robotech, we will be able to act as a single vendor that can offer full motor control system support to HEV customers. Additionally, the integration of robotics engineering team into the existing Nidec motion control engineering will further strengthen our R&D capability. Please see slide number 18. Our strategy for a decarbonized world focuses on design and manufacture of environmentally superior motor drive products that enable end applications to outperform the most stringent energy efficiency and carbon emissions standards in any given industry we serve. One such example is the development of the axle, a traction motor system designed to help electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles run with near zero direct emissions. In addition, our own developed cooling system gives the axle extra compactness, allowing automakers to design lighter and less resource-reliant vehicles. We expect this issuance of green bonds, whose proceeds will be used to invest in R&D activities and capacity building associated with electric vehicle traction motors, to generate an increasingly bigger source of funding necessary to diversify our investor bases, and we hope to become part of thriving bond market and sustainable society. Lastly, on behalf of entire management team, I would like to thank our customers, partners, suppliers for their support and commitment, as well as our shareholders. At this time, we would like to open up the call for questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sato. Now we would like to turn to the Q&A session. Mr. Sato will be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you. Today's question and answer session will be conducted electronically. If you would like to ask a question, please press the star followed by the 1 on your touch tone phone. That's star 1 to ask a question. We will pause for 1 moment to allow everyone to signal. As a reminder, it is star 1 to ask a question. And we now have 1 question from Aaron Rakers, Wells Fargo. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking the question. I know you guys don't, over the last several quarters, you haven't provided any kind of outlook commentary on the hard disk drive market, but given, we're still talking about 10%, of the business, I'm just curious of, given the continued declines that we've seen in that business, I'm just curious of how you're thinking about the hard disk drive business going forward. What's the current demand profile look like? And I guess in particular, as hard disk drives continue to mix, what you're seeing in terms of high capacity nearline hard disk drive demand in the market currently.
Okay. So the total volume is coming down, as you see in our shipment number. We are not really putting our shipment number on the slide, but our shipment ended for this December quarter 61.8 million. So if we're going to be looking at the form factor by form factor, December versus a September quarter, a 2.5-inch high-end increase and the nearline increase, but 3.5-inch is also increased, but 2.5-inch is down. So that's how we are looking at the volume, and especially we thought the gaming console demand is clearly coming down in December quarter because the next year or this year, the major game console makers are planning to update their gaming consoles. And as you understand that, they will be using the SSD, not the HDD. But not just that, but because of the model change is expected for this year, the total sales of the game console was really down for this December quarter. And that's going to be pushing down somewhere like a 6, 7, around a 5 million out of a total of 7 million down in the market. So clearly we saw the number in 3.5 and 2.5 inch is something down in the December quarter, and especially in the March quarter in the onward, we are looking at the slightly the lower number for 2.5 and 3.5. But instead, the nearline that we are looking at very high growth, and where Mr. Nagamori mentioned in today's meeting was something like a 30% increase from a December quarter to the March quarter. And at this moment that we are looking at maybe that 30% growth in March quarter would continue into a April quarter. Not the 30%, but the 30% higher range may be kept into a June quarter. So this is basically something that we can say about the trends on the HDD.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. We can now take our next question from Yoko Saki from Harding. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the call. I have 3 questions. Could you give us an update on your progress in the appliance commercial industrial motors? I know Mr. Yoshimoto is working on it. I know it's only been a quarter since you last talked about it, but if you could, share a little bit more there, please.
Update on traction motor?
No, the appliance commercial industrial.
Commercials, ACI. Okay. So overall review of the ACI situation, right? Am I right?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, maybe let me explain first the operating profit margin in the ACI. December quarter, it was around a 5.9%. It's coming down from 8.8% the September quarter. So one biggest factor is decline of the sales in industrial area, which is, as you know, the industrial area, that market has been the decline anyway. And that's why we decreased the kind of top line sales number to robotics maker with the servo motor, and also some industrial manufacturer with a motor for compressor. That's kind of the biggest one. And in the March quarter, it's going to be up to around 8 to 9%. One is, of course, sales will be bottom out because we have the receiving more the order intake in December quarter than last quarter. That's why it's going to be connected to sales number. And on the other hand, we are now restructured there and fixed cost. And then we are now spending money for restructure reforming in the ACI area. So that's deduction of a fixed cost will be materialized March quarter. That's why the operating profit margin would be up around 8 to 9%. March quarter. That's current situation. ACI.
Okay, thanks. Then also on the final revision, what was the where did things come in below expectations?
So can you understand what is the biggest reason we made the downward revision?
For the second time, yes, please.
Yeah, the biggest the reason is we are now spending a lot of money for a R&D cost and also startup cost for traction motors. We are getting a lot of orders intake from our customers for the traction motor. That's why we are spending more those costs to accept that kind of order intake.
Which is the same as the reason at the second quarter. So you're saying that you didn't expect, you had already changed your assumptions 3 months ago, but you're saying that this is a lot more than then, or that you didn't foresee this?
Yeah, we are getting more orders than we expected 3 months ago.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. And
great.
as you already know, we have now accumulated a backlog. That is a 10 million traction motor by 2025.
Sure. Okay. Got it.
You get that? So we say a 4.45 million. The last time that we mentioned the total order backlog. Then this time we say the total order backlog amounts up to a 10 million and over. So clearly a total order level is increasing. Even the market is weakening everywhere in the EV. So everybody is very bullish for the future of the EV, but the current market is something down, as you understand. So as the order level is coming up, then we have to spend more money for a future R&D and startup. Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to call Nagasa-san separately later, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Next question comes from Junko Kao from MUSG. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for taking this question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you explain about the China situation? Is it improving or are you still having the difficulty? And then another question is Omron acquisition. How long will it take on amortization? It's such a large acquisition. Will it take longer? Thank you very much.
China situation. Maybe it's still continuing, very much slow market. But on the other hand, maybe new market for electric vehicle or those kind of things is bottom up or bottom out. That's the situation. So it's various from market to market, even in China. But overall, maybe average market trend is very much slowing. That's the current situation. And Omron, probably at this point, the OP margin is around 3%, which is lower than we expected. But we are expecting that OP margin will be up to be around 10% March quarter, mainly due to the joint procurement of electric component or the other component they procure. That's maybe it will take maybe 6 months or 1 year to come up with expected OP margin, even in Omron Nidec mobility.
Okay,
is that fine?
Thank you.
With your question?
Yes. Well, may I ask one more question? Six-san is joining, and then can you give us what's going on, an update on the new joiner, Six-san? Thank you.
Yeah, Six-san actually joined Nidec already, but still he is advisor. But his expertise is product engineering, as you may know. And maybe we are now increasing production capacity, even for production motors or the other new product, which means we have to well organize that increasing production capacity, and then we have to produce those new products with timely manner and also high quality. So that maybe we will get a big weapon to improve ourselves in the production engineering area.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, please.
As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. That's star 1 to ask a question. And we can now take our next question from Brad Snyder from Ergeton. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Congratulations on the order book improvement. I was wondering if you could give an update on the phasing of the CapEx to implement that, and then I had a follow-up question on Omron, please.
So number one question is how we're going to be looking at our CapEx in the next several years, right? And the second one is what to do with the Omron?
Well, for Omron, I was wondering in the auto segment, you had sales growth of about 20 billion yen. So I was wondering how much of that was from Omron.
Oh, so the third quarter results, okay?
The CapEx, This fiscal year 19, we are expecting 150 billion yen. And probably we will continue that kind of level of capital expenditure maybe in a couple of years because we are going to increase production capacity, for instance, for traction motors and the reduction gears, and also the motors for automotive. Those capex is planned already, so that the 150 billion yen of capital expenditure will be there in a couple of years.
So you try to know more about the capex related to the traction motor or just the capex overall?
Both, actually. Thanks.
Will you say it again?
I was just wondering about both, more longer term.
Oh, more long term. So today that Mr. Nomura mentioned something like a 500 billion for next 7 years up to 2025. Then, as we mentioned, that we are budgeting for this fiscal year like a 150 billion. Roughly the 40% of that is used by the auto. Then 80% of that auto budget will be now used by traction. So roughly 32% of the entire budget is used by the traction. So if you calculate how much is the 150 times 32% is something like a 48 billion. And roughly 50 billion is used for a traction at this point. Then if you're looking at assuming we are using a roughly 50 billion per year for traction motor, then Mr. Nomura mentioned in the next 7 years, the total will be something like a 500. So if you say 50 times 7 is 350, but clearly we are looking at the larger capex in the future years. So thereby 7 years total, not the 50 million each is 350, but rather we say 500 billion. Those are the numbers that Mr. Nomura mentioned as his plan to expand the capex in this traction or EV related area. Is that fine?
Yes, thank you. And I was just wondering, I think you said 3% margin. What was the sales contribution from Omron for December quarter?
Oh, Omron. Okay. So Omron is what is the sales number and what the OP, right? So roughly for the December quarter, which we just finished, the Omron was something like 18.1 billion because it's just going to be counting a 2 month because Omron joined at the end of October. So November and December 2 months portion is counted, and those number was 18.1 billion. And the roughly, as Mr. Sato mentioned, the OP margin was 3%. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Again.
Next question, please.
If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1. Mr. Abe, there are no further questions today. So at this time, I would like to turn the conference back over to you for any additional or closing remarks.
Thank you. We would like to conclude this conference call. Thank you very much for your participation today. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact Nidec Corporation or your sales representatives at Mitsubishi UFJ Securities. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes today's conference. Thank you for your participation, and you may now disconnect.